Well, a fine good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome to the Mahoney County Board of Elections. Today is Wednesday, December 4th. It's about 5 minutes past 8. This meeting is called to order. The director, please call the roll.
Mr. Monroe.
Here.
Ms. Winbush.
Here.
Mr. Wasco.
Here.
Mr. Beatrice.
Here.
We are meeting this morning for the purpose of conducting 4 recounts, 3 mandatory automatic recounts and 1 requested paid-for recount. First in the race in the council at large of the city of Canfield, Oliver versus Tisch. The race for Struthers City School Board, Caboris and Leon. The race for Poland Local School Board, Colucci and Zediker. And then a requested paid-for race in the 7th Ward City Council, Adam Zach and Scott. I think the directors prepared the counting teams. Joyce, why don't you give us an overview of how we're going to do this morning?
Yes, I have given the candidates who are here a copy of the audit teams. The first team will recount the whole 7th Ward, so it will all be conducted in one room. The second team will recount the audit the other races in Struthers, Canfield, Poland Township, Moreville, and Springfield. Steve Khalil will be in Team 3 with Sandy McCabe and Cynthia Williams. They will do all of Austintown, which is just the public library. That's just an audit. Team 4 is Ray, Joe Downey, and Kathy Rich. They're just doing Boardman, which is also just the public library audit. So we have the everything set up on carts. We will move the carts to the rooms as soon as the candidates are ready to begin the recount and the audit.
Sure, just a reminder that the candidates or the representatives are welcome to be here and observe the process. But please just keep in mind that you're here to observe the staff who are conducting the recount. They need to focus and concentrate on what they're doing. You don't want them to lose count in the middle of a stack of ballots, for example. If you have any questions, please refer them to Joyce. And with that, we'll get started.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yes, Mr. Beatrice.
Unfortunately, I got called to court by a judge at 9 this morning. So I don't think it'll be done by 9.
Oh,
No,
no.
it won't be.
What time do you think?
You're going to have to come back like around 4:30.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we're going to do a recess. Yes, it'll take all day to do the recount. Tom will be recounting the ballots, the other ballots in the, on the scanners. So that takes at least 3 hours.
So what time are we gonna convene back?
Whatever time's good for all of you.
Well, 4 wouldn't be good, but like.
Is 3
5?
good?
No,
Or-
3's not good though.
5,
5 would be better, well,
6.
5 or 6 would be better for me, to be honest.
It's up to the board, whichever time you would like to meet.
5 okay, Dave? Can you make that work?
How about 5:30?
Fine. The board will stand in recess. Well, actually, we won't stand in recess. The board will continue to be in session during the recount, but we will reconvene at 5 p.m. to release the official results of the recount.
5 p.m. or 5:30?
I'm sorry.
5:30.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay.
5:30.
Are we going to post the part of the agenda before we?
I'm sorry?
Are we going to do part of the agenda before we?
I don't think there's anything else to do. Well, you want to do the,
Director's report?
Well, I think I would like to have the team start the recount and the audit if that's possible, because.
absolutely.
So Ann,
Absolutely.
if the candidates would like to follow Ann, she'll show you which rooms you're supposed to be in. Mr. Leon is in Struthers, Mr. Scott is in, what's her name's room? And what's her name's room? And who else is here?
Zediker.
Mrs. Zediker, she's with Mr. Leon. Okay. So you're both in the same room. I don't know.
Then why don't we jump down to,
Yeah, we're going to do it.
yeah, we'll take care of, yes, we will.
Ray, you can stay here because they're just not, you're just an audit in Austin County.
Yeah,
It's not, I'd like you to.
yeah. As the recount has started, we will continue the agenda this morning and jump down to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business to consider this morning? Any new business? Joyce?
Well, we are going, leaving tomorrow for a seminar in Cleveland for new legislation that's going on at Cleveland Academy. And it's also about campaign finance. There are some campaign finance things going on, so Diane and I are doing that. Then Friday, we're going to Columbus.
The Friday security thing.
The
yes.
Friday security thing, we're going to Columbus, and then I'm stopping in Franklin County because they have some videos I'd like to see about training. They have an extensive training. They train 3 times a day for 30 days. They train, yes. And they do something also that I want to start. It's like a hands-on. You let the people come in and play with the machines for a little while. You have one room set up where they can just come in and you use the machines and get used to them. And
Yeah, that is a great idea, I think.
yeah, so we're stopping there around 3 o'clock. So that's my agenda for the end of the week, and I'll have a report for you next board meeting.
Let's see, bids for ballots for 2020 and 2021.
All of the bidders have met the requirements.
And just review for us, Joyce, what exactly did you ask the vendors to bid on?
I told them to bid on a 2-year contract for bids for, we're not doing the absentees. The girls want to do the absentees since we have 3 ballot cards now. They want to do it in-house.
Yes.
So we're going to try to do the mail in-house. We'll see how that works out in the primary. If it's too overwhelming, then maybe we'll go out for bids in November. But right now, we're going to attempt to do it in-house. So we asked for bids for 2 years for the paper ballot bids for election years 2020 and 2021. I had them quote 4 sides because it'll probably be a 4-page.
You never know.
Or yeah, it might be even 3 pages. I don't know, but it's going to be at least 4 sides. So that's what they quoted, and that's what you have in front of you.
The bids were opened yesterday,
Yes, and I made a spreadsheet for you.
and why don't you review the spreadsheet for us?
City printing, per side, 1 side is 22 cents, 2 sides is 25 cents, 3 sides is 44 cents, 4 sides is 47 cents. Oldfield graphics, per side, 1 side is 18.9 cents, 2 sides is 21.5 cents, 3 sides is 38.8 cents, 4 sides is 43 cents. Midwest Direct, per side, 1 side is 20.5, 2 sides is 20.5, 3 sides is 41, and 4 sides is 41 cents.
Question. Who is lowest and best bid? Who have you worked with in the past that is?
I've actually worked with all 3 of them. So,
So working with all 3 of them, which ones gives you the best service and the best quality of print?
I can honestly say they all give good service. I never really had, we had a few problems with paper a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, with Oldfield, but I think that was a paper issue, a printer issue. City Printing is right down the street. They were very helpful when we were running out of Republican ballots in 2016. They stayed and ran ballots for us because we didn't start to run out of ballots until around 5 o'clock. And they actually printed extra ballots for us and kept us going. Midwest has always done our direct mail, and they've been fine to work with. Their ballots have always been okay. So really, all 3 are,
Now, it looks like Oldfield is the lowest bid on 1 side and 2 side. Well, looks like they're lowest on 1 side, but the Midwest is lower on 4 side. What the,
Midwest is lower on
Good question.
2 sides and 4
yeah,
sides.
that's what it is.
Midwest is located where?
Midwest is located in Cleveland, Ohio.
So do they drop ship to us?
Well, yeah, they would probably deliver.
They deliver
They
to
would,
us
I don't know.
without
Karen was
any
here.
cost?
Yes.
Yes,
We have proprietary trucks of ours that we would deliver directly to you.
and they would deliver in quantities. I mean, they would deliver,
And actually with your quantity, we would probably deliver it all at once.
My only question, Jeremy, is you're doing other counties.
Yes.
Will you be able to make the deadline date for receiving the ballots?
Yes, ma'am. We, over the last couple of years, I apologize for my voice.
That's
Um,
okay.
Over the last couple of years, we've invested in some new equipment. We actually have the ability to print and cut 40,000 ballots an hour. So we currently do counties, like you mentioned.
So what happens with that 5 o'clock phone call?
Oh, that's the other thing. So on election day, we are there all day from opening of the polls to the closing of the polls. We also do Cuyahoga County. So we're on call for them as well as a couple other counties.
But how would you get them to us? That's the issue.
Well, we actually have teams of drivers. We pair two together, either Democrat or Republican. And we actually have people on, basically on wait all day. Last, in the general election, reprints for Cuyahoga or additional ballots, we actually timed it from receipt of the file. It took us 11 minutes to print, cut, shrink wrap, and get in the car. So,
My plan really is to order more ballots anyway, just to be prepared, for the election. I don't want to be cut short.
What's the rules from the Secretary of State as to?
We have to have a certain percentage over, but we can actually order whatever we want. So I would probably, instead of 5%, I'd probably order 10% over.
So the problem was 4 years ago was that
The crossover.
the
It was the
crossover.
crossovers, and we sent prescribed number of ballots for the Republicans, but at 5 o'clock, around 4 or 5
That was
o'clock,
a
they got
primary,
hit.
that was a
Yeah,
primary.
they got hit with a lot of crossovers
Yeah.
around that time, so we had to quickly get our printer to, print the ballots and get them to us. The poll workers waited a little too long to call in and tell us, because when they got the rush, they weren't prepared. So that's why I'm thinking of actually ordering more ballots than less ballots, than the prescribed amount. I'm thinking of ordering over the prescribed amount.
Now, on average, Oldfield is less,
Yes,
and then comes in with Midwest Direct and City Printing.
right.
Well, that's
Not on two sides and four
No, I
sides.
said on average, if we average it out, because remember, there are going to be, depending on how many pages we have, and it's going to be a 4-page ballot,
Well,
more than likely.
Midwest is not charging for the second side or the fourth side. They're just charging the same amount, and, which is their prerogative.
I guess it's hard to really, unless we really knew how many single-sided, two-sided, three-sided, and four-sided ballots we might need over the next 2
Yeah, we
years.
won't- yeah.
It's hard. Could we put together just our best guess as to what it might be? And
I'm positive it's gonna be 4 sets, because there's gonna be state issues on it, they're always long.
For what?
Or I don't know if it's primary, but primary and probably the general. they'll
Probably so,
Probably both.
because it's going to be a crazy year next
And
year.
remember, we have to have the 2 parties also,
Yeah.
so.
Why don't we take a little time and just put together a hypothetical based on make some guesses as to how many,
2 cents a ballot is a lot of money
yeah.
when you're talking 10,000 ballots.
Yeah.
I'd be able to add something, sorry. The reason that we charge the same for 1 side and 2 is for that specific reason. Since you guys don't actually know what it will wind up being, you at the very least know if it's 1 sheet or 2, it's the same cost. That's why we price it that way.
Joyce, maybe during the day we could do a little what if calculations based on,
Well, Jeremy came from Cleveland, I can let him know.
Okay.
Sure.
So, but why don't I get Chris, and he can, he can tell you what he thinks is going to be on the
maybe
ballot.
we can make some best guesses and put some numbers
Let me get
together.
my IT.
Then we
And
can
he's actually
revisit
working
this at
on it.
5 o'clock or 5:30.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, that's how we'll proceed.
Because I need to know about services also.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else?
Counting team number 3 and counting team number 4.
Oh, okay.
No, we'll reconvene at 5:30.
Also, before we go,
Yes.
we have to make sure that we have great turnout in Ohio for 20. There is a bet between Ohio Secretary of State and Michigan Secretary of State.
can't come
and
right now. Who
Whoever
has-
has the
what's
most
your
turnout in
name?
2020 will wear the other
Okay,
person's
go ahead.
jersey.
Michigan always loses, so
Okay, just making sure.
we will reconvene at
Good
5:30.
morning, Chris. Jeff went, Joyce went to get Chris. Chris is
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Print wise, for the ballots in 20 and 21. What are you expecting as far as 4 sides, 3 sides, 2 sides, 1?
For the program, I would guess would be 2 sides. there's not generally a lot on for the primaries. The generals, it could be 3 or 4 sides, depending on how many issues the state makes on.
You don't think they'll put any on for this primary? Okay.
Chris, we'd like you to take your best guess as to, how many 1, 2, 3, and 4-sided ballots we're gonna need for the primary in general in 2020 and 2021. So we can put some numbers.
26 would be 2-sided for the primary and 4-sided for the generals.
Do you know how many people voted in the 16th primary?
2016. About 80,000,
80,000 ballots in the primary and the general, do you have any idea?
about 120,000.
About 120,000 in the general. 80,000 in the primary of 2016, about 120,000 in the general ballots that we used. And that was 4 sides
Yes.
in the general.
All right, so wait a minute.
So do we know what you
So
said?
200K a year, basically.
It's about 180,000.
Well, yeah, about
In
200K a year.
Yeah,
That's what Bob's taking an average,
Yeah.
200,000 ballots a
yeah.
year.
Oh, yes, 200,000 a year.
So we don't
That's
think there'll be.
$4,000 in difference in price.
What's that?
At 200,000 ballots, that 2 pennies is $4,000.
Okay.
Where in Cleveland are you located?
We're actually on 110th, almost the corner of 90 and 117th.
So you're in downtown.
No, it's actually the corner of Lakewood.
Is that on the, I'm not familiar with the geography, is that on the west side or the east side of Cleveland?
That's the west side, it's west of 110th is where we're at.
So Joyce, during the primary, you called at what time?
We called around, they didn't call us till 5, so we called around 5. And we got them, out to
What time did we get them out to the polls, would you say?
about 6.
6 o'clock.
They,
About 6
Yeah,
o'clock?
about 6
yeah,
o'clock.
they moved.
Because they had that 5 o'clock rush. And
Right.
we
That's crazy.
never perceived the changeovers, that was the issue.
No one saw that coming.
No,
I think that's gonna be the future, not seeing things coming.
right. Right, yeah, yeah.
I
It sure is, that's why. Exactly.
Bob, excuse me, I just might point out that the ones that were ordered at 5 or received by 6 were delivered by city, right down the street. And we would do the same thing we're in Austin.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Well, I knew that, I'm just
Yeah.
weighing it.
And Mr. Beatrice, you got a tough spot, because if it's a 4-page ballot, it's plus 2,000. If it's a 3-page ballot, it's minus 2,000.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes. That's what I'm saying, on average, if you look at the average,
It'd be more than 2,000.
it's 89 cents on average for Oldfield and.
No,
90
on a 3-sided oil field.
I'm down 2.2 cents lower.
Right.
Yeah, so
And
on a
on
3-sided
4-page, they're
ballot,
up 2 cents.
the question is, are we gonna have more 3 or 4-sided ballots? That's the
We don't know.
determination we have to
Well,
make.
I think in the primary, Chris is right, we're gonna have 2-sided. I would venture to say in the general, we'll have 4.
Can we do this since we're gonna revisit it? Is it easy for you to go back, let's say, the last 4 years, and let us know what we had at each time? I mean,
Well, I can get you the cost. I can do that. I have John Blue auditing, so by the time you come here by 30, I can have the cost of the 2016 ballot cost.
Okay, but are we able to see if it was a 3-sided or 4-sided?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you
okay.
can go look at
Yeah.
that right now, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it safe to say that we have very few elections where there's one side?
Very few, yes, very few.
Right?
Yeah, there's always 2 sides.
Okay, so we should really, to compare apples to apples, we should look at this vis-à-vis 2, 3, and 4,
Correct.
and not 1, because we never have a
We
one-sided
never
ballot.
have one side ballot.
Yeah.
Question, do they direct, do they do direct mail also?
We're doing direct mail from here.
So we're gonna direct, we're gonna
Yes,
direct
because
mail
we
from
went to
here.
postal mail first, the rate,
Okay,
so, and then,
That's a lot.
okay.
This is the presidential race we're gonna do in-house.
well, we have 3 ballot cards, yes.
I'm not worried about the ballot size, I'm worried about
Well,
stuff.
they
that
print the
we do.
ballots,
I
so,
understand that, but then you gotta put them in an envelope,
right.
mail them. That's done manually. When they do it at that place, they do that.
Postal mail service gonna do it,
It's
right?
automated, isn't it?
Well, yes, but, we have to have the people here anyway, so I mean, it's not, I think it would be more cost effective to do it in-house.
Okay, I'm not, all I'm saying
Because
is,
when you do it by mail, the price per side goes up. considerably.
I understand that. The
So-
question is, are we biting off more than we can chew, is what I'm
Well,
saying.
I'm gonna learn that in the primary, I'll find out. If I think that we are, then we will put out a bid for the November
I mean,
election.
that first wave could be,
Well, 20,000, we used to do 20,000 when we had to address envelopes, David, in-house.
oh, we did?
Yes, we did, we worked till midnight. Yeah, we did, but
Okay,
what, we,
all right, all right.
these, we have labels, we have automation now, it's, you know, a lot easier. So,
And this is just for.
and you know what,
absentees.
what's the sense of buying the ballot cards if we don't use them?
No, I agree with you.
You
I
know.
agree with you.
The
I'm not worried about
The
printing the
ballot will be
ballot.
cheaper because it's only, what, 12 cents per sheet for the ES&S paper? It's only 12 cents to do it in.
Listen, I'm
So that
not,
saves quite
I'm
a
not
bit.
worried about printing the ballots. What I'm worried about is the manual labor of stuffing, folding, putting them in, and mailing them.
Well, we do them every day, we'll do them every day. Every day that we get them in, they'll go out.
Okay,
So-
if you're saying we can handle it, I have confidence in you.
But it would be more than 12 cents, because, you know, you would have labor costs.
We'd have labor costs and we'd have, you
But we're
know.
paying for the labor anyhow.
We're
Yeah,
paying
you're
for
paying the labor anyway, so.
So we go
Let's revisit this when we reconvene
All right.
after.
Could I ask one thing?
Sure, Bill.
City never charged no overtime at all. And there's been times the ballots weren't even given to us at the proper time either. So we had to work Saturdays, Sundays, constantly. And we never charged a penny over what our quote was. So I'd like to know if any of the others would charge if they have to put extra time in.
Well, no, I mean, this is the contract. We would enter into a contract with them, and they're contracted to deliver the product at this price.
Why, once, do we ever pay an overtime charge?
We pay for what they paid.
The only issue I was aware of was with Holyfield, like 4 years ago, there was something wrong with the paper, or,
Yeah. I think there was something wrong with I don't know if it's the paper didn't take the ink. There was something wrong there.
Do you want to address that by any chance, why we had that problem?
We still fill.
Right.
Greg,
I'm sorry.
What?
we didn't mean to interrupt you while we're talking about your bid. Sorry for the interruption that you weren't paying.
It's okay, it's no problem. What was the question, if
The
I might
question
ask?
was the problem that we had with your firm last time with the printing. What, in general, what?
Well,
there's two
I
sides
believe
to
that that was at least 8 years ago, and
Okay.
it was
That was-
about 4 systems ago when we actually had to trim the ballots. There's no trimming, everything is about 3 stages of digital removed from that. Everything is printed and comes out the machine complete.
So that's all gone.
There's no trimming whatsoever on those things now. And that was the issue, is there was a little bit of a skew because some of the printing was done on a traditional press. Everything is now done on a digital press.
Okay, we'll revisit this and reconvene at 5:30. Well, again, a fine good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
It is good afternoon. The board is back in session, and we are back in session earlier than I had anticipated. Congratulations to our staff for just
Did a bang-up job.
they did a bang-up job. Have we concluded the recount, Madam Director?
Yes, we have.
I understand that there was one ballot issue that surfaced. This is a ballot from Poland Township 10, precinct 10. There were 3 to elect, and there were three names were marked, and I assumed that on election night this was counted as a vote for 3 people.
Right.
But on examination by the recount team, we see that one of the names has been scratched out. And I'd like all of us to take a look at the Zediker and Calucci race.
I don't know what that means.
Okay?
In my review of these over the past 10 years, if the line wasn't through the name, I would have then said I could not determine the voter's intent. And probably would have said those would be three, but with the line through the name, I think that this is only a vote for two.
I agree with this assessment.
I agree, I think it's a vote for Colucci only.
No, two
No.
votes.
Clutier.
Right, well, we're not counting Paula, so it's part of the
He was in
recount.
the recount.
Oh,
Right, the recount's only considering the Zediker and Colucci names.
Right.
So, a vote for Colucci, not for Zediker. Now, with that being resolved, can you share with us the results of the recount, Joyce?
Yes, I can.
excuse me,
Oh,
though, so,
yes.
so will you address because I don't, did that affect this that I
No,
have
not
here?
what you have here.
Okay.
Well, the recount team did not count the Zediker vote,
That's why we're
But-
down one.
but
Yes,
we're simply confirming what the
call
recount
my
team did.
phone.
Yes.
Okay.
They asked
Or
me,
what
then
they
I
say,
said,
I'm in
I
this
thought I should
meeting.
come to the board.
What?
Okay.
So in the
Yeah, I have that.
Basha Scott race, nothing changed.
All right, I
Exact
gotta
same
go.
numbers as it was at our official. In the Christine Oliver, Charles Tish race, it's exactly the same, none of the votes changed. In the Colucci Zediker, it changed by one vote. Zediker had 116 at the official, and now she has 115.
And that would be explained by the ballot we just saw.
Yes, correct. And at the Cavoris Leon, nothing changed. So everything was spot on.
Wow.
Is there a motion to certify the recounted ballots, the recounted races as official?
I move that we certify the recounted ballots as the official count.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any questions from the candidates who, well, there's only one here now.
Oh,
And-
first of all, may I say, I've been
Yes.
very impressed by the process, and I'm so grateful I could observe it. And I think this should be required of every high school student, regardless of the type of school they're in. They should be required to tour, to witness, whatever you want to determine. I think it's part of education and may change the outcome for elections. It may be a high voter turnout if they see how important the process is.
Did you get all that, David? I just want to make sure that you got it.
Yes.
Oh, I wasn't doing it for the press.
Well, but that's the only way we can get it out, is through the guy to your right.
Well, you're welcome, but
And,
I sincerely mean that.
Spoken like a true educator.
Yes.
That's right, and that's a good thing.
It
People
has.
don't realize how much goes into this.
And also your parliamentary procedure, I'm really a stickler on that. I've served on 14 boards in my lifetime. And I try not to make it heavy on certain boards, but definitely the record is everything on most boards. I picked up a clue here when I came to your other meeting, because when I chair a meeting and it's asked for approval of thus and so minutes, the motion is made, seconded, then we're open for discussion. I have actually asked, are there any additions or corrections? I learned that from an old board I was on many years ago. I now have adopted your language. Is there any discussion? And it saved a headache because I used to put up with a lot of them. So thank you for that education.
Thank you.
Glad to help. There's a motion, there's a second, that we certify these recounted results as official.
I want to say one thing,
Mr.
and
Beatrice.
this is for the benefit of Mr. Scully. We have been through a number of recounts and a number of audits. Outside of that one that the computer scan picked up and it shouldn't, these machines are spot on. And this is, so the public knows, when we do a recount, we do it old school. We take the ballot and we actually count like they used to do in the old days. And I don't think one time that we've done this, it's ever been off. not once.
Very solid.
Very good. Anything else?
And Mrs. Zediker, thank you for your years of service to
Oh,
the
you're
Poland School
welcome.
Board.
I have
It's-
loved it.
It has been a very, very long time, and we want to thank you for your service.
Well, certainly, and now I can call Annie. I did the night after the results were shown, I called each of the candidates, incumbents or other, and just, sorry for the outcome for the incumbents, is what I said to them. But for the successful candidates, I was able to call the other two, but not Annie, so now I can call, and I've always offered my help if I can be of any.
Very good.
So, thank you.
True public servant.
Always.
Well, it's what we do.
Very good. Director, call the roll.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Mr. Beatrice?
Yes.
The other item of unfinished business relates to the ballot bid opening that we
No,
did.
sir.
I'm sorry.
The other piece
Oh, I'm
of
sorry.
business is the audit.
Oh, I'm
Which
sorry.
you must
Yes,
approve. The audit is
exactly.
also
Thank you.
spot on. And there is a form that we must submit to the Secretary of State, which you have to sign, saying that we conducted the audit, what the totals were. The totals never changed, everything's fine in the audit. But this is a form that the board has to sign and approve.
Well, I move that we approve the audit for the 2019 general election by our outcomes of the other, of results of the outcome.
There's a motion that the audit results be certified. Is there a second?
There's a second, and that is referring to the 16 precincts we pulled.
Did you pull, correct?
Second.
Any discussion? Director, call the roll.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Mr. Beatrice?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco? Okay. Now, the ballot bids that were opened yesterday and presented to us earlier today, it was a little complicated because we had bids from 3 vendors, and in some cases, one vendor was lowest with one-side ballots, one vendor was lowest with 4-sided ballots, et cetera, et cetera. So to try to make it reasonable to compare apples to apples, we proposed that we imagined that we, for example, during a primary election, that we would issue 20,000 ballots, and they would be 2-sided. And that during a general election, we would issue 120,000 ballots, or we would buy 120,000 ballots, and they would be 4-sided. And that would allow us to get totals for each of the different vendors.
Correct.
And using that scenario, starting at the top, the cost for city printing then would have been $76,400. The cost for Oldfield Graphics would have been $68,800. And the cost for Midwest printing would have been $65,000, or $65,600. So on that basis, it would appear that Midwest would be the lowest bidder.
That's a spread of $3,200 between.
$3,200,
Yes.
correct.
Mr. Monroe, would I
Yes.
be able to speak yet?
Sure, go ahead.
I'd just like to bring up a couple of things.
Would you
I
stand
just
and
want to
state your
make,
name, Bill?
pardon,
Would you stand up and state your name and, who you're with?
Bill Glarus with City Printing.
Go ahead,
Um,
for the record.
First of all, I'd just like to know if they're really using the 80-pound bright white stock. I don't know if they do that or not. They're not here, but they can't speak for that. The other thing is, city has had very good production with ballots for many years. We're just down the road, which makes it very easy. I know our price is higher than the rest, but at the same time, I'm sort of aware, and I know Craig Olson pretty well. I worked for him for a number of years, and I respect him. He treated me well while I was there. But they don't have a full force there. They bring in people, I don't know, from a church to help do the work. And I know for a fact, and I'm surprised Joyce sort of said she works well with all 3 vendors. They had issues with Oldfield, they've had issues with Midwest, and city has 25 working employees there, which all pay taxes. So we're paying our taxes here local. I just want to let everybody know that.
Let me respond real quickly.
Sure, Dave, go
We
ahead.
understand that it's a local vendor, but unfortunately, the way the statute reads, being a local vendor is not something we could take into account. Okay, it says lowest and best, it doesn't say lowest, best, and local. So if the state legislature wanted us to favor local vendors, they would have put it in the statute. Best, lowest, and local, but that's not what the statute reads. And so as much as I want to support local people, I also took an oath to support and uphold the laws of Ohio. So having said that, I want to ask Joyce one question now. Mr. Galera said that you've had issues with Midwest Direct. Is there truth to
With the
this?
mailing, some of the ballots that were mailed out were torn when we got them back.
Okay.
I'd have to ask Ann how many. It wasn't on printed ballots that we received from them, but it was on the mailing out ballots. I
That's
don't
a
know
different
whether-
service than they're bidding on.
Right, and I don't know whether that happened at the post office. I can't, I don't know. You saw some of them, Tom.
Yeah, I think when we looked into it, that was 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
We determined it was a post office. It was
We
coming
had
from
some
the
issues,
post
yeah,
office.
we really couldn't determine who it was, to tell the truth of them. But, we did have issues, with the mailing.
But it wasn't anything with this. And
It
when
wasn't on ballots per se, we've
and-
never
and-
really gotten ballots.
And on the
per se.
specs of the contract, it is this 80 ply paper,
Yes,
correct?
yes, it is. And they're
So-
printing for Cuyahoga, and they're printing for Trumbull, and they're printing for another, I imagine they're using the correct paper.
Well, they would be in breach of the contract if they wouldn't
Correct.
be.
Right.
All right.
Again, I have one question. Midwest, they have printed ballots for us in the past?
They printed the mail ballots.
Just the mail ballots?
Just the mail
Okay.
ballots, yes.
Okay, so there's no issue with the actual printing of it? It was
No.
more the mail service?
It was what we received back from the voter, or how they received the ballot too. They received the ballot torn, so we had to send them a new ballot, because they couldn't vote the ballot that was in the envelope. That was the issue. So, they have never printed ballots per se for us, like to take out the polls.
This will be the first time they will have printed for us?
No, they printed for us for the mailings.
Right, for
Okay.
for absentee ballots.
Okay, for absentee ballots, but they've never.
Anything else? Is there a motion?
I move that we go with Midwest Direct as lowest and best bid for the two-year contract,
2020 and 2021.
2020 and 21, going forward.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any additional discussion? Director call the roll?
Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
Ms. Winbush.
Yes.
Mr. Wasco.
Yes.
Mr. Beatrice.
Yes.
And just for the record, I would love to do local. I'm with Mr. Beatrice, if we could possibly make that to where we could go down the street, but statute reads.
I understand.
Although, if we were going local, I think we would end up with Oakville.
That's city.
Because Oakville would have been lower than City.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
That was the best.
anyway. Let's see, anything for the good of the order? Any public comment this morning? Our next meeting is set for 2020.
Really?
Wow.
Christmas party's when?
I haven't had time to do the Christmas party yet.
Our next meeting is set for Tuesday, January 7th, year 2020 at 8 a.m.
Have we set the calendar for next year already?
Not yet, we'll have it ready for the January meeting.
Sure.
Very good.
And will, the last day of filing for
The
candidates?
18th at 4 o'clock. Make sure you shut that door at 4 o'clock.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
That's when the 2020 excitement really begins.
Begins, yeah, I'm in 2020 already.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Director call the roll?
Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
Ms. Winbush.
Yes.
Mr. Wasco.
Yes.
Mr. Beatrice.
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
gentlemen.
everyone.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Ellen.
Oh, to you too, Rick.